Welcome to the Cigar Inspector channel. My name is Usman. I'm here with my co-host Ray, good friend Ray,
Hey,
who
guys.
I've been working with for a while. If you watch us on our older channel, Cigar Rants, and you'll know we used to do a lot of live streams. But Ray, how are you feeling today?
I'm very well. Yeah, good to be back in recording as well.
It's been a
Talking
while.
about cigars, talking about nonsense as usual. So yeah, guys, me and Usman used to be back on. Used to do a cigar channel called Cigar Rants, which we stopped for a quite long time because there was literally both of us take a different parts of our career, but. Actually,
it's kind of merged together, hasn't it?
Yes, we knew that will happen in
Yeah.
some time. And Cigar Inspector is an interesting project which started many years ago.
Yeah.
It's been completely forbidden for good few years, good bunch of years. And the people behind that project get in contact with us and they want us to get involved. They want us to restart the Cigar Inspector.
Yep.
And maybe again try to show different point of view, different ideas. There will be a lot of new ideas in the Cigar Inspector. It's not going to be just me and Usman talking nonsense as usual. It will be, we will be part of that, but there will be a whole bunch of other new stuff in the website, in the Facebook, in YouTube, everywhere. We're going to launch it slowly, little bit by little. So that's one of the first steps we're going to do. Basically, we're going to do that small podcast. We already did the unofficial version in Instagram.
We do the informal live streams every week.
Exactly.
Every week on Instagram, and this is it's a new project, and I'm really excited about this. But it was bound to happen. I mean, I used to get loads of messages of people telling me, hey, when are you and Ray going to bring the live stream back? I'm like, I'm working on it. Let me get there. But
it's back.
Finally back. No, the guys at Cigar Inspector, they've been great because they've just given us free reign. They've just said, listen, we need you to do what you guys do, because they love the live stream and the podcast that we had on Cigar Rants, and they're like, do that, but with us, and we'll give you like space and everything and all that. I was like, yes, awesome. So we've got a budget, we've got things, we can travel, we can do stuff. So I'm excited. But before we get into the topic for today, because today's topic, it's an interesting one. I think so anyway. But before we get into that, what are you smoking?
Well, again, I'm gonna. People who know me, they know I like to experiment with the new cigars, new smokes for me. That's the most exciting part of the smoking. Even if the cigars are awful, I still want to try new stuff. I'm not like smoking 5 cigars and just keep smoking 5 cigars or smoking only certain brands. No, for me, it need to be a mix. The cigar tonight I choose to smoke, it's called Bad to the Bones. And it's
Bad to the Bones.
Bad to the Bones.
Bad to the Bones.
Yes.
Like
so
the song.
It is a very unknown cigar by a company called Outlaw. Outlaw is a cigar lounge in America. I think they're in some of the middle states. They used to have a shop and lounge. They have few lines made especially for them. I've smoked most of the other lines, and they were not bad actually.
When you say not bad, are they like...
They're good cigars. Again, for us, when you mention sometimes custom-made cigars for specific companies, not everyone can do that. There are very few people which actually can achieve a good cigar, because a lot of companies do custom-made cigars for other companies. They just do leftovers and stuff like that.
Which makes sense, because why would you give your premium tobacco to like
exactly
small tiny company,
and
right?
Those guys make a good thing with the line. I don't think those cigars exist anymore. I don't think you can buy them. Every connection I used to have with the websites and everything, they don't exist anymore. And most likely it's been discontinued. Maybe the lounge not exists anymore.
So you can't buy these cigars anymore?
No, you can't buy this anymore.
How old is it?
I reckon it's about 7-8 years old.
Right, you showed me the cellophane earlier.
The cellophane is quite dark. It's very thin cellophane actually. It's not proper thick as some of the others. Cellophane is brown. But again, that can happen in 2-3 years' time. It can happen in over 10 years. I don't know how old is this cigar. I've got it from a friend not long ago with the whole line they used to have. It's a Toro 6x50. I would say not very dark, not very light. It's just literally in the middle.
I've never ever heard of this brand before. This is like completely new. Like some of the brands that you talk about, I may not have heard of the cigar, but I've heard of the brand. Do you know what I mean? Like, but this one, like, I've got no.
There's so many. We'll see. Again, I don't expect anything in the moment. I'm just literally, we'll jump in there. We'll smoke it. We'll be my company until we do that podcast today. Until I'm going to cut and lit my cigar. In the meantime, tell people what you're smoking.
Mine's pretty boring compared to that, man. I mean, not for me. I love this cigar. I love this cigar. This is the Cuaba Distinguidos. Let me see if I can get that in focus. It is in focus. See, your camera doesn't focus like mine.
No. Well, it's
does.
not. You're in the most important cigar there. Mine
at
is like, eh.
Look at it. Look at the shape of this cigar, though. This cigar is just gorgeous. I love this cigar. You know, it's underrated. This brand, Cuaba. You know, relatively new brand. It's one of the newer brands from Cuba. You told me that it was developed specifically by hunters, right?
Well, yeah, as far as I know, Hunters request that brand and...
or requested the brand, yeah.
Well, it's not been developed. I don't think anyone from Hunters go and start blending cigars.
No, of course not.
The brand being made especially for the UK market, as far as I know.
Really?
Yes.
That's why it makes sense to me, man. That's why I love this cigar. Honestly, this cigar, the shape-wise, every single Cuaba cigar is a double figurado. Every single one. And
part of the limited edition 2008.
Yes. So
which
they
is a pyramid shape.
Yeah. And I like the
Single
little tip.
figurado.
A single figurado.
Well, how
Yeah,
you
yeah,
call
it was
it?
only- it was only
It's a
torpedo.
single figurado, so it's only figurado on the one of the sides.
Yeah, the
I've never heard
torpedo.
someone call single figurado. Why people don't use single figurado?
Yeah, double figurado, single figurado.
Double
that makes
figurado. Why
sense.
not single figurado?
I don't know.
Or just figurado? But
they-
double
they-
figurado is still figurado.
Yeah. Double figurado, single figurado. Or just figurado. I don't know, man. What was I saying? But yeah, no, that makes a good point. But I like these double figurado cigars. You know, they're the best shape in my view. In terms of looks, this light is freaking scary, man. What the hell? Like, look at this. What the? That's a blowtorch. That's on a low setting. What the hell? Seriously, man. So, you know, there's one thing I don't know. You know, I should have asked. But are we allowed to swear on our podcast? Because there's one word which I keep wanting to say right now about this lighter.
Well, I think all the people who watch it will be over 18.
I hope so, anyway.
And we're not going to be definitely put on any TV. So there will be no like, like Morse
The little
alphabet.
beep sounds, right?
So, yeah, I reckon if you want to swear, swear.
Oh, yalla, that's perfect, man. Okay.
So yeah, we're gonna smoke as usual. Completely different cigars, different sizes, even different countries of region. And
where's
we're
your
gonna. Well, I don't really know.
You don't really know. Okay.
I don't really know. Again, that's completely jumping the deep. No idea what I'm smoking. Fancy looking band. Well, nice looking band. Not one of the
But
best looking bands.
your cigar is completely off topic, though, you know.
Yes.
Like, we're talking about Cubans. You couldn't bring a Cuban today?
I'm skinned. I don't have money for Cubans now.
There was some downstairs.
I don't have money for Cubans, so I'm gonna smoke some of my budget cigars.
You
and that's it.
literally showed me the Cubans you had.
I haven't seen any widows recently, so
You brought out the Cubans and said, "Oh, these are the Cubans I've got." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, which one are you gonna smoke?" None of them.
yeah. So tell the people
I'm
what
on topic.
Tell
I'm
the people
on
what
topic.
we're gonna talk about today.
Let me light this first properly because I haven't lit this properly. Today we're going to be talking about Cuba, and you know, there's an interesting thing that you said to me a little while back, right? And I think you said it out of frustration, but I think there was a little bit of truth in it. In that you said, "Do you know what? If Cuba stopped making cigars, it just fixed loads of problems." And I had to think about that. And it kind of would.
And you came up with the idea to talk about that.
No, it was your idea.
Well, I mentioned it in the frustration. Say I was just frustrated by a lot of reasons. You know, if people don't know, I'm working in the cigar industry now. Back in the time when we was part of the other channel, I wasn't in the industry. I was just a passionate person with the hobby.
Yeah.
Now I'm proper in the cigar industry. I manage a cigar lounge in UK, and I've been doing that for just over a year. And I've seen a lot of stuff from inside. I mean, how hard is actually with the Cuban cigars. And
because before we were just looking at it from the outside in.
Yeah,
we were
before
guessing.
it was like, oh, I'll buy them from France, I'll buy them from Spain, I'll buy them from whatever, China.
But now you know what's going on.
Now you see how those countries actually they struggle as well. Every country struggles. I've got a lot of people constantly asking me, coming to the shop and asking me for ridiculous amount of cigars and ridiculous cigars. You know, literally new limited editions, Cohibas, etc., etc. And there's not much available stuff, to be honest. Even if people with money wants to buy, I don't know, 10 boxes of Behike, that would be a hard task.
It is.
Even if price is high,
But it's not even Bejiques.
it's not even Bejiques.
just
We're talking
regular
for everything,
production.
everything regular in a little bit high, bigger ring gauges and high premium stuff. Because there's a very few big cigars available from Cuba, and Cuba, in the last 5-6 years, they produce big cigars. They start producing 55, 56, 57, 58.
And they can't,
inch.
they can't even keep up with the production of like the standard cigars that they're already making.
No, currently there's a missing few very strong cigars. Like if you check on most of the retailers' website, Short Churchill, Romeo and Julieta, is one of the cigars which is not easy to find at the moment. There was a few other exceptions like that, which back in the time used to be cigar nobody wants to buy because everyone wants to buy some limited edition, maybe bigger cigar.
Now you can't get them because one, limited editions are not available. You can't get them because they're freaking close to impossible to find. They've all been bought up. The supply is just drying up so quickly. And now the standard production cigars are just getting dried up quickly because the price keeps going up. Price keeps going up because the demand keeps going up, and the demand keeps going up because there's no supply. And it's like, it's just turning into like a bit of a crazy rat race. No, I don't know. It's just turning into like a bit of a crazy cycle where we're just constantly chasing the next cigar. And eventually people are going to be like chasing after Guantanamera. It's like, oh, I need these cigars.
I know people not in UK. UK, we're still quite fortunate to have I would say, very decent selection of Cuban cigars. But countries in other parts of the world, of Europe even, they don't have even basic stuff. I mean,
before we get into that, let's just quickly explain what we mean by Cuba should just stop making cigars. Because what we're not saying is Cuba should like discontinue everything, get out of the game, and stop making cigars for the rest of their lives.
Well, my frustration was, again, we was discussing something with friends, and I was just mentioned, wouldn't be easier if Cuba stopped producing any cigar for, let's say, 2 years, maybe 3. I know it's a long period, but imagine what will happen if Cuba stopped producing those 50, 60 millions. There's no very official information how many cigars they produce. There's some sources say 40, others say 60. I've heard sources which say close to 90. It doesn't matter what's the numbers. We all know how Cuban cigars smoke. Let's say we'll take the middle number, 60 million. When we open a box, 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10 are not good. And those are the premium ones.
Yeah.
So let's say we can lose 30-40% of those cigars because they're not smoke. So we lose 20 million already. So we go down to 40, theoretically, cigars which can smoke.
Yeah, so cigars that you can smoke, if you're selling singles as a retailer, that makes sense because customers are going to buy one and then it's plugged or something's wrong with it, they return it, whatever. But if they buy a box,
that's just
the customer's loss.
Because Cuban cigars are still a lot of people buy boxes. So we're not the same as the non-Cuban cigars, the New World cigars, where people very rarely buy boxes. As the Cuban cigars, people, especially in Europe, people still buy boxes. Most likely people who buy box, very rarely they'll smoke them in one go. They'll buy a box, they smoke 1, 2, keep them to age them. Everyone used to, well, not everyone, but let's say most of the people, they used to know they need to age the Cuban cigars a little bit. So they're going to buy boxes, maybe for investment, maybe to put them in the lockers, or smoke them with their friends or anything. Very rarely they'll buy box and smoke one today, one tomorrow, one 5 days later, or anything like that. There's some people who do that, but not majority.
But if Cuba did stop making cigars for like 2 or 3 years, that would have a drastic impact on their economy. Like they would have a massive impact on the economy. Because the thing about cigars in Cuba is that, for example, Nicaragua, when we were talking to the ambassador or the deputy ambassador at the time, he said cigar production or the whole cigar industry in Nicaragua is 5% of the GDP. That's still a huge amount. That's a massive chunk. Because if your economy shrinks by 1%, you're in recession. That's a problem. And if you're in recession, as soon as you're in recession, everyone starts acting slightly differently, right? The confidence goes the country.
I'm not very into the politics and stuff like that. I avoid those those
No, but that's
ideas
important.
and
That's an
stuff.
important part.
Yes, but we all know Habanos is owned by 50% by the Chinese people. So maybe sounds ridiculous, but what's going to happen if those Chinese people are still paying salary to some of those people, not producing cigars, producing tobacco, growing tobacco, aging tobacco, everything in the factory, just not rolling the tobacco. You still have the people, you still put the farmers on the field, you still grow tobacco, maybe develop more fields, find more job for those people, growing tobacco, not rolling. And let's say you start rolling after 2 years. You're going to have enough tobacco maybe to start producing those 50, 60 millions. But I mean every cigar to be decent because you age them, you ferment them. You have the decent tobacco, not to try to find a wrapper for Cohiba or try to find a binder for something else. You have everything what you need. You just start like a brand new company. Every brand new company, when they start opening business, they have capital at the beginning. They have budget. They say, okay, we want to start advertising. We want to have money for budget for marketing. We have money for that. Same thing here. You restart everything, and you're gonna sell anything you produce. You sell it anyway.
Yeah.
But there will be, maybe you produce slightly more cigars, better quality, and maybe cover a few more markets.
But here's the thing, though. I don't think Cuba can even do that, and I'll tell you why. Because it's out of their hands. It's out of their hands for one reason only. They literally can't produce anything. So I had a rumor from a very reputable source. You know this source. We know this. And it was confirmed by someone else as well that we are not going to see any new Cohiba cigars this year at all. So
any new as existing lines or new limited editions?
Any Cohiba cigars.
Any Cohibas. Nothing produced in 2023.
Nothing produced in 2023. And the reason for that is, and this is a little bit potentially controversial. In fact, it is controversial, and it's not confirmed. But this part is, they were initially going to be purchasing a lot of wrapper leaves from Costa Rica.
I've heard that one. I've heard that rumor.
But I've heard this from someone very significant in the industry.
Yeah, I know. I also have sources which say something like that.
But this wasn't like oh, my friend told me this, who goes to Cuba. This is like someone who if you heard it from them, they'd be like, yeah, this guy knows. It's like, it's that person where it's like, this person definitely knows what they're talking about. So they were going to buy lots of tobacco from Costa Rica. The tobacco came. It wasn't of the same quality. It wasn't good enough quality. It was just terrible. And then they were like, well, we don't have the tobacco. We've had a hurricane. Farms are ruined. Costa Rican tobacco that we wanted to buy, which is controversial because they talk about how all their cigars are just pure Cuban tobacco. But I don't know.
There's been controversy for the last 2 decades on that.
Really?
A lot of people speculate they buy tobacco from Nicaragua, they buy tobacco from other countries. There's been rumors. Of course, no one will confirm that. No one who can confirm it, it will go in front of camera and confirm it. But there's a rumors. In the industry, there have been rumors. They've been buying tobacco for ages.
Yeah.
I don't know how true is that.
But it doesn't taste like anything other than Cuban tobacco.
Yeah, but again, the taste is a very dimensional perception, if I can say it. Because you know what you're smoking. If that is not a branded as Cuba, maybe you guess it's Cubans. Most likely you're going to guess it's Cuban cigar.
Yeah, because Cubans have a very distinct
if it's brown, if it's blended, if it's let's say those cigars are not on the market for 2 years.
Yeah.
Then they come back. Last time you smoked Cuba was 2 years ago, theoretically. You smoke one, wow, that's amazing. Do you remember the taste of the Cuba back in the time?
That's a tough one, really, because I don't know. I mean,
and how many people can actually do that? There's a people which maybe smoke only Monte Cristo, only Cuba, only Cohiba, only Romeo. But those people, if they don't buy new stuff, they smoke their own stuff. In some moment, they buy new one, they say, oh, that's not aged, that tastes ammonia, that's the acidity.
But I have
that
heard,
doesn't taste right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not fermented, and maybe have another tobacco in there.
I have heard a lot of people who smoke Cuban cigars for a long, long time talk about how, current day production tastes nothing like what they used to. They don't taste as good. They don't taste quite as well, quite as the same. Bolivars, for example, are a great example, like the Bolivar Belicosos Finos. That cigar used to be the strongest in the Cuban portfolio, right? Now, it's freaking mild. Mild. Like, they can call it strong, it's not. It's not.
So maybe one of the reasons is they replace some of the important ligero leaves with something else. Or the wrapper is not that, I don't know. I haven't smoked that many Bolivar Belicosos Finos. I can't say. For me, it's, again, that's why I'm smoking something different. For me, it's smoking the same cigar is not an interesting point.
Yeah.
I can always enjoy cigars which I like, but I prefer to try something new, something I haven't smoked, maybe find my new favorite. And also, I mean, if someone start talking about specific cigar, I want to know about that cigar.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the person who never heard of it. So that's the point of me smoking it.
No, but you must have heard about this as well. Like Bolivar, lots of people talk about how they used to be a lot stronger. You must have heard this as well.
When somebody come and say I want Bolivar is strong cigar, I stopped smoking that much Cubans about almost 10 years ago. And for me, Cubans are not strong at all. Bolivar, Partagas, Ramona Honest, those are not strong cigars.
I don't think they're strong.
When you smoke something like Black Label Trading Company, Espinosa, maybe Dure Estate Maduro as well,
La Bomba.
those cigars are super strong. I've smoked, a few days ago, I smoked La Instructora. This is Hoche Blanco, Dominican cigar. That cigar starts with
Yeah, but
hell
those
of a
cigars
kick.
are too strong.
Yeah, but that's a strong cigar.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, but
for me,
but then one could make the argument, say that, well, this is what a strong cigar is, and this is just taking the piss.
this is again, I think maybe might be a topic for some of other talks in the future.
Yeah,
What is a strong cigar actually?
that's a good point.
Because full body Cuban is not even
Is nothing.
medium to
Is
full
nothing.
in non-Cuban
Is nothing,
world.
yeah.
And if someone who smoke full body Cuban cigars, Bolivar, Partagas, etc., if you smoke La Bomba 601, which is one of the strongest cigars I've smoked on the market,
I'd pass out.
maybe he'll pass out.
I'd pass out.
And it will be like, I used to smoke strong cigars, and what is this?
I would pass out.
It's like maybe if people who don't smoke, watching this video and smoke mostly Cubans, they'll be like, what are they talking about? I'm talking about if you're drinking whiskey 46, 47%, and then you
go
get
up to like
Tuscan
absinthe.
64%, or New Make 70%. You still will be tasty, but it will be ridiculously strong.
Yeah.
So,
I can understand that. Yeah. No, I mean, with Cuban cigars, this is the point that a lot of people were saying. You know, if they have been changing the tobacco, if they've been purchasing tobacco from different regions, it kind of fits the narrative of people saying, well, Bolivar doesn't taste like it used to be. It used to be a lot stronger. Partagas used to be a lot stronger as well. They don't taste the way that they used to. So that fits that narrative. You've got long-time Cuban cigar smokers saying Cuban cigars are not the same as they used to be. And then you've got rumors suggesting that they can't keep up production, so they're having to buy tobacco from different regions to make up the shortfall. And that's changing the blend, because it will change the blend. You can't buy tobacco from Costa Rica and think that it's going to be the same as any tobacco you grow in Cuba. It's just not going to be the same.
it's not going to be, but in Cuba, a lot of time, I don't believe they always use the same blends for every of their brands. They currently, 27, 28 brands in the portfolio.
Yeah. What was that?
I've heard
Yeah. Tell
someone
that
being
rumor.
someone who is very high in the industry.
Yeah.
Being in the factory in Cuba, in Havana, in the Partagas factory.
I like this story.
And they were making Partagas P2,
Yeah.
which is, it's a pyramid form. It's a 52 ring gauge, 6 and 1/8, decent size. We all know number 2 from Cuba. And in some moment, they switched to Bolivar Belicoso Fino. Like literally they cut the last inch of the cigar or whatever is exact measurement. They cut it and put the buns of Bolivar instead of Partagas. Exactly the same cigar.
That sounds crazy.
Just an inch shorter. And they're both made in the same factory. They're both full body cigars. But surely they are different in the blends. They should be different in the blends. No, I haven't smoked many Partagas or many Bolivars. I can't say
I've smoked a
I
lot
will
of
find the
Partagas.
difference between them. If I smoke 2 of them back to back, might not find the difference because
I can tell. So I don't know. I can tell I can tell them apart. I can honestly tell them apart. If I'm smoking a P2, I can tell it's a P2. However, I will say one thing though. There have been occasions where I'll smoke a P2, and like you have a memory of what a P2 is. Well, you just want to show off with your ash, huh?
Again, it's
Yeah, I tip my ash.
it's $5-6 cigar in the States. Used to be
Really?
beautiful construction. Look at that.
I feel kind of bougie right now then. I'm smoking my expensive Cuban. In comparison, anyway, these are pricey these days, right? They used to be like 25 quid. 20, no, they used to be 22.
So
So yeah, like I was saying, sorry. I'll be smoking Cuban cigars, and I know like 2018 or whatever, I'll smoke through a box of P2s, a box of Bolivars, and I'll know what they taste like. And then I'll smoke another one, and I'll have that memory of it, but then it's a memory, so you know it's a little bit discolored and you know it's faded and whatever. But I'll smoke a P2 again, and it's like this tastes very different, like drastically different. It's not even slightly different; it's like drastically different. And that's never happened to me with, let's say, something like a Dominican cigar or a Davidoff. Like with Davidoff, I've never had that. I smoke a number 2, it's always a number 2. Always. Always a number 2. If I smoke the Andalusian Bull, it tastes like an Andalusian Bull all the time. Oro Chisel, same thing, all the time. Even with Padron cigar, every single time I will smoke the one cigar from Padron, which is the 45th anniversary. It tastes exactly the same. So your memory faculties and all that, like the way that you remember things, the way you smell, and it kind of brings you back, right? So when I smoke a Padron, it brings me back to that memory.
but I think this is one of the reasons for that might be because all those cigars you mentioned, non-Cuban ones, the blends of blends. You mix in tobacco from all over the world. You've got Nicaraguan, Dominican, Ecuadorian, Honduran, you've got Cameroon. So you mix them. And a small difference, you will make change, big change. In Cuba, they're supposed to use only Cubans.
Yeah.
And maybe if they don't, it doesn't matter what they change, they'll change priming. Will make a difference when you change priming. Wrapper is almost mostly the same. They just grade on the color.
Yeah.
And inside is maybe 1 leaf of Ligero instead of half, or leaf and a half. That will give you the strength.
Yeah.
Flavors, I don't know if they will change that much. So, and if you put a tobacco from Costa Rica or whatever it is, should change drastically.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Shouldn't be taste the same.
But this is what I mean. This is what I mean. When you smoke, you know when you eat a particular dish and you've got a memory associated with it, it takes you back to that memory. Cigars are similar
Yeah,
to
and
me.
when you eat it and when you're missing salt, missing chili, missing something, you know, I'm missing something. Let me add something.
Yeah.
Same with the cigar. I'm missing
But
something.
hear me out. Like when you've so for example, with the Padron, right? The first time I smoked the 45th anniversary Padron, so I was smoking that with my uncle, and it was a great memory. And now, when I smoke that 45th, it brings me back to that. It's like it just reminds me of that again. And it's because that cigar tastes very similar to what I smoked back then. With Cuban cigars, I don't have that. I don't smoke a Monte Cristo number 2 and think back to the time I was in Barcelona. It doesn't take me back there because the flavor notes are so different depending on when I'm smoking them. So I don't know. It's a bit of a weird one in that
It's
sense.
controversy. Imagine if you, how every cigar when we smoke is supposed to develop with the time of the smoke. So if you have P2 and you get rid of the first inch, you're missing almost the first half,
Yeah.
first third.
Yeah,
So what, you're starting off the second third straight away.
yeah, basically.
It shouldn't, it will give you, you brand it as a Bolivar, but what's happening with the complexity of the Bolivar, which is supposed to be, every third different as well.
Yeah,
It doesn't make sense. It's very, if that's true, again, I've not seen it with my eyes. I trust my sources. I trust the people who told me that story. And it doesn't sound logically. You know what I mean? If that's true, come on. Why are you doing that?
yeah. Or just be transparent. about it.
Another reason, don't produce them.
Yeah, or just be transparent about it. Just be clear. Look, we can't produce X number of cigars this year, so we're going to use this kind of tobacco, and we are going to ensure that the blend. But I guess they can't, because if they do that, then the brand is going to be affected massively. People are going to be put off by it.
Okay, in fact, you affected the brand. But what's going to happen? Let's say you have Romeo and Julieta. I know like 3 or 4 Petit Coronas in Romeo and Julietas. Why you have like 15 lines out of every brand, and why you keeping them? Reduce lines. Discontinue
Oh, I
lines.
agree with that.
So-
Listen. I completely agree with you on
all
that.
all the big producers out of Cuba, I can give you examples like Joya de Nicaragua, Steve Saka from Dumbarton. Last year he have a line called Todos los Dias, which is a beautiful cigar. He say I'm not going to produce Todos los Dias in the next 2 years probably because I don't have a specific tobacco which is one of the ingredients in this cigar. He didn't produce any for almost a year. Now he released very small amount just because he managed to find a small amount of this tobacco, but very small, literally 1,000 boxes.
Yeah.
And again, will be discontinued after that. Why Cuba don't discontinue certain lines, certain brands, if let's say they don't have tobacco for Bellicoso Fino? They produce P2. Keep producing P2. Discontinue Bellicoso Fino for a little bit. I know it's a popular one,
Yeah.
but it's better to stop it. When you have the tobacco, bring it back. Not like producing stuff which are not the same.
Or maybe they do.
And
Maybe
the reduced brand, 28, 27 brands, some of them existing with one line. Okay, you want to have the history, you want to keep the brand, just one day maybe produce a regional edition, limited edition, etc. But other brands, you keep producing new and new Vitolas. That's another point probably we need to talk about. Why every new cigar is a different Vitola?
Kidose number 52.
A lot of examples. Kidose number 52, the new Trinidad, which will be released anytime soon. Everything is a new Vitola.
Yeah.
And why? I'm sure in the factories they don't have a box press for stamp and what is called when you roll the cigars and put them inside. Forgot the name.
The press?
The press, yeah. They don't have press for every single ring gauge.
No.
So 49, 51, those are old ones released in the last few years. Connoisseur, what was the Connoisseur with the 51 ring gauge?
Connoisseur A.
Yeah, Connoisseur A, Monte Cristo Dumas 49, and stuff like that, which never existed before. I don't think they make presses for that. They use either probably the bigger one and just squeeze them inside, or smaller one and just
Expand it out a little bit.
I don't know, because even when you put them in the box, they came as a box press cigars.
Yeah.
Okay, not the Dumas. Dumas came in a nice, beautiful box, but like all the other standard 25 count boxes, they're box press. All of them, Monte number 4, Romeo's, Short Churchill, they're box press. Because the box press, you squeeze them. And those weird new sizes, why? Why you need to bring new size on the market, creating completely new size? I get it for the limited editions. Okay, make a limited edition in a while. Originals, I'm agree with that as well. But core line, standard production, you don't discontinue, you just produce it.
No, exactly. Because we've got the Kidose number 50. We've got the Kidose number 54. And they've now started producing, or they announced the Kidose 52. Why? Like they've barely got enough cigars. Like I keep asking Mitchell for I should not say that, right? Exactly. I mean, the Kidose 52, right? So we've got the Kidose 50, we've got the Kidose number 54, and they can hardly keep up with those in terms of production. Like I keep trying to get boxes of the Kidose 50 because I really like them. They're great cigars, just like casual smokes. They're not that expensive. Price has gone up, but still, they're not that crazy expensive, right? And I enjoy smoking them. They're lovely cigars, but they're difficult to find. If you can't keep up production for your current 50 and the current 54, what are you doing making 52s for? Like, put that tobacco towards those two.
Either stop making 50 or 54 and say, okay, we stop doing 54, we're going to produce new one, which will be 52. Not keep all of them. And also, you don't have tobacco. You're complaining about missing tobacco. You don't have enough tobacco. Why you make a bigger size?
Exactly, like they're going towards...
That's what I'm saying. Every new size is bigger and bigger. Bigger engaged, longer cigars. You know, they produced Linea de Oro, Linea 1935 in the last year. Linea de Oro, they were ridiculous ring gauges.
55,
I know
57.
the people wants to smoke big ring. That's the tendency, you know, especially from the non-Cuban cigars. They want to smoke a new Cuban cigars, which are big ring gauges. But you already don't have tobacco. You don't produce bigger cigars if you don't have tobacco.
And you know the tobacco that's in the Linea Oro series? They have not been aged, man. They have been rushed out, and you can tell they've been rushed out. Because remember we got that box of Hidalgos,
Yes.
right? 57 ring gauge, right? Beautiful cigar, beautiful cigar. A little bit too thick though. It's not to my liking. I would have preferred the Nobles because it's got a torpedo end, and I think I would have preferred that cigar. However, I got the Hidalgos because that's what was available, right? And we smoked them, and we smoked the first one together, and both of our reaction was like, it needs age. It's just not ready.
I don't understand the cigar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
It's
sometimes
like a white Churchill without the depth of the complexity.
When I have an expectation for a cigar, let's say it's a hype new cigar, everyone wants to smoke it. When I get my hands on some of them, when I smoke it, I'm always expecting to be like, wow, something new, something interesting. I want to go back to the cigar. When we smoked the Hidalgos, and we was talking, I was like, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand this cigar. What's the purpose of this cigar? Why this cigar is on the market?
It just looks nice.
Why it's better than White Churchill, for example?
It's not.
You have White Churchill, which is 55 ring gauge, which is a big cigar. Why you bring in 57, 58, 56, and 55 or whatever other stuff if you already have the White Churchill? Okay, theoretically should be stronger. Linea de Oro is a little bit stronger than the classic Romeo and Julieta. I didn't feel it stronger.
It's not stronger. It's harsher.
So the purpose to bring that, maybe to make stronger Romeo for people who love Romeo, do more flashy buns, flashy box, charge twice the price on the White Churchill, and then it's not better than the White Churchill.
There's nothing fancy about it. I mean, here's my theory on that, right? Remember when Obama was in the White House and he relaxed some of the embargoes against Cuba because he wanted to get Cuban cigars, right? Obama smokes Cubans. So he relaxed some of the rulings. And at the time, there's a guy called, around that time, there's a guy called Stephen in London, right? And he did a pretty extensive study on Cuba about whether they should open and start selling cigars in the US. And he concluded they shouldn't sell directly to the US, but they should open up a store, like one individual store, one fancy flagship store in New York, and maybe one fancy flagship store in LA. Just the two sides, cover those both, and that's what they should do. And that was his conclusion, and he got brought to Cuba, and they gave him like a big, fancy reception and everything like that, right? And that makes sense to me. It was like, okay, yeah, that's a pretty good idea. Just one store, because if you start selling to the US, you're not going to have supply left. It's just going to be gone straight away. But point that I'm making is because they thought, because they clearly thought, if they're going to bring someone in to do a study on that front, whether we should or not, they thought they were going to start selling, potentially, maybe soon, start selling cigars in the US market. So if you want to sell cigars in the US market, what do you want to do? You want to make bigger cigars, right? Because the US market likes heavier ring gauges. So I think these heavy ring gauge cigars were thought up a few years ago. They've now been brought into production. They can't sell it to the US. So they're like, oh crap, I guess we'll just ship it off to people in Europe and China because, hey, they're going to smoke anything we send them anyway. And we do. I mean, I don't. I don't like the super heavy ring gauge cigars.
Makes sense in some point. Yeah, I get it. I get what you want to say. But also a lot of people saying when Cuba will start selling cigars in the US, because that will happen. Sooner or later, that will happen. It's not going to be that easy.
It's not. They've got way too much
I was
competition.
thinking how you can register the brands in the States.
Well, Cohiba
Okay.
Cohiba might be easy.
Okay.
Cohiba might be easy.
But what else?
No, Cohiba might be easy, and then because Cohiba's easy, they've got precedent set already, where they've got certain core brands that if the Supreme Court is siding with Cuba on Cohiba, then why wouldn't they side with Cuba on let's say Punch or
because Cuba, Cohiba, the thing with Cohiba started 25, 30 years ago. I don't think any of the other brands have anything in motion. It will take good 20 years until they decide for the other brands.
True.
So if they open, let's say tomorrow, they can start trading in the States.
No, but what I'm saying is there's precedent already set.
Yes,
So
but
because
it will
there's
take
precedent,
time.
because there's precedent, they could argue and say, well, you did it for Cohiba, so what's the problem now with Do you know what I mean? So it's reasonable to assume that they could do it for the other brands too. So I think they might be able to get away with that because the Supreme Court is kind of on their side. But having said that,
Sometimes
General,
it can take ages.
no, General Cigar still released a new Cohiba cigar.
Yep.
You saw the Spectre?
Yeah.
These guys don't give a shit, do they? Like, they came out. So as soon as the ruling passed, right? As soon as the ruling passed, their CEO basically turned around and said, yeah, we're not going to listen to this ruling. We're going to carry on producing cigars. We're going to make new cigars and we're going to do whatever we want. We don't respect this rule. And I was like, damn, okay.
United States of America.
Yeah.
They do basically whatever they want.
They do what they want. And they just carried on. The new Spectre kit, it does look pretty cool though, right? What do you think?
I haven't smoked it.
I'm not going to smoke it.
They're more expensive than the Cubans.
Yeah, they're like, what, $60, $70 each?
Again, it's not easy for us out of the States to get hold of some of those cigars. More than happy to try them. Someone willing to send me one, yeah, I'll try it. I'll tell you what I'm thinking. But one day.
It comes in a hydraulic humidor thing. It's an over-designed box. Let's be fair. That box is hella over-designed.
Somehow you need to convince the people in the States to spend $40, $50 more on a single cigar instead of what I'm usually spending. You came up with the fancy boxes, fancy bands, NFT tags, whatever stuff, infusion with bourbons, cooperations with famous people. You need to come up with something. At the end of the day, that's still $5 cigar.
It is, yeah. What's that thing? What was that thing that you were saying where, there are no cigars, in terms of raw materials, all cigars are worth, how much was it?
It's depend which country, but as far as I know, to produce a cigar, it wouldn't cost you more than $3-4.
That's including?
Max.
Including?
All the raw production, including boxings.
Including the box?
Yeah, well,
bands?
boxes. Again, if you produce a golden box, it will be more expensive. But if it's standard wooden box, most of the people who produce cigars, they already have factories set up in
Yes,
Honduras,
they do. They
Dominica.
produce their own boxes.
So it's cheaper for them. And okay, you pay a little bit more for brand ambassadors, you pay for booths, you pay for bands, depending on which company you produce your band. Depend how much you want to spend on marketing, in Cigar Aficionado, in Cigar Journal, in a few other magazines, in influencers. The new popular thing, people, which actually brands pay into those influencers, brokers. Now it's, I don't know if you know, now it's fancy new position in the States. Well, not now, let's say last few years, there's a cigar brokers. Those are people which carry pure brands and they go to the lounges and shops and say, okay, you want to sell this brand or this brand? Because it's like a brand ambassadors, but not for a single brand. They're brokers, they deal with 5-6 brands in their portfolio, but maybe more.
So it's like an importer, but for like...
Not importer, but like a brand ambassadors,
Yeah.
but not for one brand. Back in the time, you have brand ambassador to this company, brand ambassador for this company. Now you have like brokers which carry 5-6 brands and they go and try to sell them, try to put them in your humidor on the nice places, not on the bottom, not on the back or whatever. They say if you want to carry this brand, you need to bring 7 lines, you need to bring 15 lines, etc., etc. Those are the cigar brokers, and they've been paid from those brands to carry them and distribute.
So there's a lot of money that goes into, the majority of the money goes into the marketing. But that's with anything, right? Most products, the biggest cost is generally marketing, not the manufacturing. Like research and development and marketing. Those are the 2 areas which cost the most.
And Cuba don't have those people. So this, if you go back on the beginning of our conversation, if they stop producing cigars, they don't have people which they need to pay like that. Stuff like, brand ambassadors and stuff. Okay, they still have importers all over the world.
Their importers would suffer.
Yes, but most of them suffer already. Those importers maybe will try to think to get a couple other brands on their portfolio.
Yeah.
Not Cubans, few other brands. Because there's a plenty of non-Cuban brands.
But don't they have like exclusivity rules?
Well, if Cuba don't send them cigars,
what are they going to do?
What are they going to do? They can't just close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For me, maybe it would be easier for Cuba to stop producing instead of the guys who are selling the cigars. Those guys will be struggle more. But again, I don't know. I'm not an importer. I don't know how they operate, what's their rules and everything there. But it was a tough. I was frustrated. I mentioned it. You say it will be interesting to have a chat on that one.
It is.
I don't know what the people would think of that. Guys, you can leave a comments on the video and
But
tell us what you
I
think.
want to ask you one thing though. This is something which, you know, because you've had this cigar. I believe you have. Maybe, I don't know. I could be wrong. No, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But have you tried the Novadosas? Have you seen the Novadosas? Have you looked at them?
Yes,
You have?
I have.
You
I've
have?
tried, I've seen them, and I have some.
You've smoked it?
I smoked one.
What do you think?
The problem was I smoked Novedoso from the original release on the festival,
Okay.
and it was very bad.
Really?
Yes, I relighted 7-8 times. It was not burning. It was a lot of issues with that.
Was it like just the way it was stored?
Well, I stored it after that in my humidor for.
I see.
You know, I very rarely smoke
Yeah,
the cigar
yeah,
straight
yeah.
away. I stored it in my humidor for most likely close to a year. The cigar didn't perform at all. I didn't manage to pick a lot of flavors or anything. Now I managed to secure some new Novedosos. I still haven't smoked them. When I do it, I'll probably post somewhere and stuff like that.
But there's a rumor which is that Cuba produces cigars, like it'll produce like maybe a box or two for the event, just for the pictures, and then you won't see those cigars for like years upon years upon years. I mean, the Novadosos was announced in 2019.
Maybe before that.
Announced. He rumored maybe before that. I don't know, but officially announced was 2019. 2019. That's crazy. It's been like 3-4 years.
Every new cigar, last year they announced Cohiba and Bar.
Yeah, we're not gonna see them for like ever.
Maybe next year, maybe year after. I don't know.
like,
There's
why
a still cigar announced in 2020. That's been, I think, been in the last good 10 years. Always been like that. They announce something. Okay, there's your 2 boxes.
Yeah.
Festival, release few coffins for the people in the festival, few hundred guests. Then do official launch, and maybe we'll see them in a good year. You saw what happened with the Ramon Alones private stock 230. Officially, that cigar being presented on the last year Ignite Festival in UK, which was in May.
Yeah.
They should launch September. They didn't launch September.
Nope.
They announced on October. Didn't launch October. November, I think, when they launched them.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
November,
that was already like 5 months later than what they, they say, oh, we have the cigar now, but that's for the show. You can start ordering. You can start pre-order. We'll be here in a couple months. No, couple more months. And I think just because Hunters and Franco have a very good connections with
That's why it took
Cabanos,
5 months.
that's why it took 5 months, not a year and 5 months.
Yeah.
But some of the other guys, which are not that strong on the market, not that old importer, might take them a good year, 2 years.
But this is what I'm saying, right? Why, like, they've clearly got a problem with Cohiba cigars. They haven't got, like, we're not seeing so many of the regular production. Like, when was the last time you saw a Siglo 5? Almost never, right? It's like impossible to find many of these cigars in just the store, in any store, right? And they struggle to produce the most basic regular cigars for Cohiba, yet they keep announcing new ones. Cohiba Amber is a new one that they announced, the 55. I mean, the 55 is technically out and kind of available, but that took forever as well. So many of the Cohiba line series of cigars that they've announced, even the heavy ring gauge one, the new ones with the really thick ring gauges or whatever, and no one's seen them. No one's seen them. They've got a box for the pictures, cigars for the pictures, but that's about it. And I don't even know if those cigars are the ones, like, if they could have just used whatever tobacco and then just like rolled that shape.
Yeah, and people are hyped because, oh, it's a new cigar. Wow, tastes amazing. Oh, wow, tastes like crap. Again, back on the beginning of the conversation, it's when you're missing some cigar for like a good few years, you haven't smoked it. Then when it's come back, you don't have a base for comparison because you didn't smoke them constantly. Very few people probably smoke them constantly, which are like importers or stuff. But actual consumer, the normal person, normal customer who would go to the shop and buy his 5 cigars, 3 cigars or whatever, you want to buy Siglo 5, man, last Siglo 5 in my shop, been ages.
Have you ever had a Siglo 5 in your shop?
Well, my shop opened a year ago. I didn't have it. I still didn't sell any Siglo 5 because I don't have them.
That's what I mean.
I sold some other Siglos, but let's say some older shops which are on the market for decades. Siglo 5 is a cigar which most likely you wouldn't find anywhere at the moment.
Anywhere. I have not seen a Siglo 5 since 2000.
And this is a Cohiba.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Siglo 5 since 2018.
And it's not even hyped Cohiba.
No.
So it's not Siglo 6, it's not Robusto, it's not any Esplendido or anything
But
like
it
that.
is the best in the Siglo series, in my opinion.
Possibly, yes. Quite agree with you. But you can't see them.
No.
It's a thinner in gauge.
Yeah.
It's not a big cigar.
Yep.
Same with the other, the Lancero. Lancero is another cigar which you won't see very often on the stands.
They're rare.
So again, another thin cigar, another big ratio in the wrapper instead of filler. So you've got
It's a wrapper leaf which they're mostly struggling with, right?
Yes.
Because this was the rumor. The rumor was that they wanted to buy wrapper leaves from Costa Rica. They bought a bunch of them in. Supply came in. The supply was just terrible. Like, honest to God, just terrible supply. And they were like, okay, we can't use this for our cigars. Guess what? We can't produce any Cohiba cigars this year. I don't know if that's going to be for the whole year, because they might be able to get away with producing something somewhere or whatever. But as of right now, we're in February. We haven't seen any 2023 cigars yet. But then it does take a while. Like, we get to about June time, and that's when we start to see the 2020.
2023. They're not produced yet. The rolling period is you can go up to end of March and stuff like that. So after the festival, when they actually will start rolling and making stuff, the festival is this month.
Yeah.
It's not been done yet.
Yeah.
So 23 cigars you might see.
For March, April.
No, later will be maybe second half of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see like May boxes. Because we do
No,
see
you will see
boxes from February.
You will see January and February,
Right.
But they're not going to be produced yet. They will take a good few months before they start releasing them. I think so.
I mean, I've seen November last year, boxes from November last year. I've seen December from last year. No, sorry, I haven't seen December from last year. I've seen November from last year. I haven't seen December, but yeah, December, January, February. I think we're probably going to see them April and May, around that time.
Maybe.
But even then, supply-wise, dear God, I mean, they've been struggling, and if they just stopped producing so many new cigars and just focused, I don't think they should stop producing cold turkey, because that's going to be devastating for the economy. I think that's going to be devastating for a lot of importers and retailers. It's going to be pandemic, right? What they should do, or what they could do, is just stop producing new cigars. Stop producing new cigar lines.
Yeah.
Focus on the core lines that are working. Strip down some of the cigars that don't sell at all. Like, there are certain brands, like you mentioned this earlier in the video, where they've got certain brands where they've got one cigar for the whole brand. One cigar is holding the whole brand up. And you're like, why is that there? Do you know what I mean? So strip away any nonsense brands. Don't discontinue the brands. Just keep them in the portfolio, keep them a little, sidelined for a little while, and focus in on reassuring the supply.
And there's a certain lines, so certain brands where they always selling, and they're not producing.
Partagas.
Lusitanias. Even if it's not one of my favorite cigars, that cigar will
Extremely
sell
popular.
extremely popular. Double Coronas.
Double Coronas sell
Where the double
all day.
Coronas? Where the Churchill? Okay, Churchill now is a little bit on back plan, so there's not many Churchill which are actually selling. But double Coronas, Lusitanias, where are those cigars?
There are no double Coronas in the market right now. Zero double Coronas.
Where's those Lusitania? You might find an old box somewhere,
Yeah.
and that's it. Where? Bring back those cigars. Rafael, Ramona Ones, Gigantes. Where is this cigar?
Practically doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Practically doesn't exist. The
So-
only way that you're going to get a Gigantes or a double Coronas or any of the double Corona cigars is if you buy it from like the private market or auctions or something like that. If it's already in the market, if it's already in the supply chain, that's the only way you're going to get it. And it's crazy. And yeah, Cuba just needs, and I know we're saying this like, two numpties behind the camera who don't necessarily have a great deal of experience in how all of this stuff works and grows and whatever, but still, it makes sense that...
We're consumers.
But
We talk from a consumer's point as well.
Yes. I mean, spectators see more of the sport. That's the saying, right? And if it makes sense, logically speaking, if they just stopped producing new cigars and just shored up their own lines that are currently in existence, figured out, because they know, they've got the stats of which cigars are selling the most everywhere, which cigars are the best, but the most popular, which cigars are the most, I can't talk over the bells. So we're just gonna have to get used to that, I guess. But they know which ones are the most popular. They know which ones are selling the most. So it's just a matter of figuring out what works, cutting back on what's not working. Don't discontinue those lines. Just build up the ones that you've already got, which are popular, that people want, and stop producing all these crazy new cigars. That's my takeaway anyway. What are your final thoughts on this?
Again, I'm completely agree here, and I smoke way less and less Cubans nowadays. So for me, honestly, I'm not gonna miss any Cubans. Well, if I put in the calendar year, I'll probably smoke less than 10% of the cigars I smoke are Cubans.
See, mine's flipped. Mine's 90% Cubans.
I can easily replace them with non-Cuban cigars, or maybe still chunk some of the old ones I can find. Maybe get a box of vintages on auction. Instead of spending like buying 5 boxes, I'll buy one on auction or somewhere, vintages, and if I want a good Cuban, I'll smoke this one. Instead of going hyping about new Cubans, and there's a certain markets and lounges where they're heavy on the Cubans, they will need to probably switch on and get more and more non-Cubans, and there's a plenty of new brands on the market.
Saying that, do you know what? Sorry, I know we said last point, but saying that, have you noticed how all the stores on St. James are now heavy on the New World? Apart from one store, and that's Havana Cigar Exchange. Havana Cigar Exchange does not sell any New World cigars whatsoever. They only sell Cubans. You go in there, it's just Cuban wall to wall. I get that. They've got a particular brand, they've got a particular clientele, that's what they want, that's what they focus on. No problem. Carry on. Respectable. That's fine. But long time organizations that were primarily Cuban, Davidoff of London, have you seen their New World selection? Their New World selection is excellent. Honestly, their New World selection is like damn good. You walk in there and you're like, wow. It's like they've got a whole selection of diverse cigars from all these different regions. And this is a company, this is an organization that primarily focused on Cubans and Davidoffs. And now they've got a lot of...
That's how it's supposed to be. I mean, why you should exclude the other brands? And I'm sure more and more people who used to smoke majority Cubans, they'll be open to try new stuff.
I think they probably will.
They're open to try, especially even if price point, the same size cigars, probably some of the Cubans are twice more expensive than non-Cubans.
Comfortably. Like you can see Robustos, for example.
Why you would pay price for a cigar if you can smoke 2 cigars for that money? And they're not going to be bad cigars. Don't get me wrong. You're not going to smoke awful cigar completely pointless. You need to find your. That's why there's such a big variety. Try yours. Talk with your local tobacconist, whatever is London or some other city, some other place. Talk with your local tobacconist. See what he can recommend. If it's a decent guy, he can recommend you a decent cigar. And find your way to replace some of the Cubans. If you can't find them, there's plenty of other opportunities on the market.
I agree. So yeah, that's been the first video that we've done. Your cigar is hella smoky, man. I'm looking at the camera, right? Look at this. Look at that big chunk of smoke just going across the camera.
Yeah, my cigar is very, very smoky. Yeah, guys, that's been the first episode. We at the moment that will be recorded episodes because we're still working on a few details to finalize the live streams. And when we're ready to do the live streams, those will be live streams, so you can basically do any Q&A. We can talk on discussing questions with you guys.
I'm looking forward to doing the live stream because the live streams the engagement was great. and
Yeah.
also I didn't have to edit.
In the meantime, on the live streams, if you want to have a chat with us on live, we will try to be live every Sunday, 7:30, in the Cigar Inspector Instagram chat
7:30
channel.
UK time.
Yes, UK time. You can jump in there. You can ask us any question. Doesn't matter what kind of topic. If it's cigar related, even if it's some spirit related or anything, I might try to answer. And yeah, me and Usman will carry on doing that. There's a lot of interesting stuff will happen anytime soon.
We're working on it. We're working on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just the beginning, and I hope we can create some interesting stuff.
Yeah, we've got like some really good ideas, and I'm excited about doing some of the things that we're going to be doing. So blow that way. No, I'm looking forward to this. I mean, this has been a huge opportunity, and yeah, I'm excited about it. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to episode 1, technically episode 1 on Cigar Inspector. We've just been bitching and moaning about Cuban cigars because I love them. Ray, not that bothered about them anymore. And thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Ray, your sign off.
Smoke your cigars, guys. Cuban, non-Cuban, it doesn't matter. If you enjoy it, why you should stick on Cubans or non-Cubans? Enjoy them. You have your budget, you have your preference. Stick to them. And maybe from time to time get out of the comfort zone. It's not bad. I used to smoke only Cubans. Look at me now. Changed. See you next time.
See you guys.